Welcome back to Ahead of the Chains. Right when Mike joined the call, I like the banter. It's kind of
Yeah.
like my pregame warm up
Yep.
before these recordings. And I was like, "Oh yeah, how's work?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, like
Long
it's a
day.
lot
You
of
know.
work. My brain feels fried. I'm kind of just tired." I was like, "Well, you're making bread, so you can't complain too much." Uh, he's never heard the term "making bread," for as in
I
making
know that. I
money.
know that bread is money, but I've never heard somebody say, "Oh, you're making bread." Like I just, that's not like a
That's
thing.
insane. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's a New York thing. I think that's just a you being in your little bubble thing. And you only further prove that because I asked you, what is Illinois slang?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I forgot what the first thing you said was.
Well, we
What was the
obviously
first
like
thing?
we say like pop and we say gym shoes and if you I don't know, you have a
Gym
Jewel.
shoes was the
Do you guys
first
have a
thing.
Jewel
I was like,
Osco by you in New York?
what?
Do you guys have Jewel Osco?
Jewel
That's not
Osco.
that's
Is
not a
this
thing.
like
Okay.
Piggly Wiggly? We don't
No,
have Piggly Wiggly in
it's
New
like a
York,
mega
but
conglomerate store corporation, but we call it the Jewels. Like it's
yeah, it's
whatever.
like Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly, I think, is Florida.
It's not.
Uh,
I don't even know what Piggly Wiggly is. I promise you, it's nothing
it's
like Piggly
exactly
Wiggly.
what you just said, but for Florida. As for New York, we probably have something like that. Like for all I know, Walgreens is a New York thing. I
No,
don't know.
Walgreens. We got Walgreens everywhere. We got
Well, yeah,
Walgreens.
but I'm saying like some
Do you guys have
random thing,
Aldi? Is
something
Aldi
I
a
could.
thing over there?
We do have Aldi. We do have
Okay,
Aldi.
Aldi's the thing. Okay,
Yeah,
but
like I'm just
but
gonna name every grocery store because I
we
don't know what's
will.
New York.
I know you guys don't have Culver's. That's a crime against humanity that it's
Yeah,
not
I know
more
that. We don't have
nationalized.
Starry Junior. Is that the name of it?
That's no. I don't know. I don't know what
No,
that
is it?
is.
What the hell? Raising Canes. I said Starry
Yeah, that's
Junior.
all over. Yeah,
What
that's
the
all over.
hell was I saying? Yeah,
You
we
make me
don't
think
have
of
Raising
Carl's
Canes.
Jr. Carl's Jr. is a
Carl's
burger
Jr.
place.
Yes, that's it.
We've got a few,
Carl's Jr.
not a whole lot though. It's kind of pretty disgusting. But I was trying to
Yeah.
think because he was like, man, like what's like some Illinois slang? And I was like, all right, let me do a little Google search, and it came up with the most accurate answer ever, which was jagoff. Like if you're a Midwestern person, you 100% have heard of that term. You 100% have used that term. And he looked at me like I was speaking a different language when I said that, and I was like, this is the most accurate thing. And the definition for those who are typing in our comment section right now, I want to read it out for you. It says a stupid, annoying, or irritating person. That is 100% the context in which the word is used. So it's I think it's interesting to get some different slang in here. I might actually read up on more Illinois specific slang and just drop it so you have no idea what I'm talking about these next few episodes.
But that aside,
And your guys'
we
pizza's
decided.
worse too, So I
No,
don't know
okay,
how
you're
cultured
crazy.
you really are
Hey,
because your pizza's
I've
not
never
as good.
had Midwest pizza, but I refuse to believe you're right about that. Besides the point, we brought in a little bit of Boston action to
Yeah,
our Midwest and New York action we have here between us two.
yeah.
We brought in Dan Aulbach, a writer for the Columbus Dispatch. We had a great conversation about the Ohio State prospects in this draft because there's a lot of very notable ones. And yeah, it was very interesting. Why don't we go right into it?
Let's go! Everybody! Let's go!
So we're here with trending beat writer for the Columbus Dispatch, Dan Aulbach. We're just getting back in the swing of things for you. I mean, spring
Let's
training
go.
just coming up. I mean,
Sure
how are
is.
you feeling after how last year played out? I mean, there was still a lot of great football. Like, not many teams could do. I know Ohio State set a certain standard
Yeah.
after the past few years, but not many teams can do quite what we've seen them do. And the players that we've been able to watch, players you've been able to watch,
Yeah.
that's the big focus here. Of course, we've been in draft mode, right?
Right.
And this is a team that seems to always pump guys out into the NFL draft, and they play really well when they end up getting drafted.
Yeah.
Just so many guys. How did it feel watching guys like Carnell Tate, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, like all these high caliber players that now we're talking about come draft time?
Thank you, boys, for having me on. Yeah, I'm in a very privileged position to cover this team. Like I said, I get to go to some games throughout the year, but even I'm watching every single game. I'm grading the team after every game this first season. Um, and yeah, I mean, football here, obviously, like unlike their rival who invests a lot of money in their basketball program as well, football is the sport, and it's the only sport at Ohio State. No matter what you say, it's like, or at least right now, the athletic department just brought in a new record high $300 million of revenue to play with. That's just the athletic department as a whole, but most of that goes to football. And it seems like every 10 years they get like a really, really good draft class. '06 and 2016, they had 5 guys in the first round. Um, I think 2006 was that AJ Hawk draft class, and then 2016, the Joey Bosa and Zeke Elliott. So it's just, it was cool to watch NFL ready talent, and you can identify it pretty quickly. Obviously, like they're playing school. Like the 2 games I saw in person this year were Minnesota and Purdue, and obviously those are not like the right now they're not great football programs as far as like got to compete for a national championship. But I remember I went down to the field after the Minnesota game, and I was in the tunnel, and I look to my left and I see just this like massive player, and I'm like, but he's slender and he's like muscular. I'm like, oh, is that must be Jeremiah Smith? No, he's number 8. It was Arvell Reese, and I was like, whoa. And this was like, Arvell Reese. It took a bit to get the hype that he got this year, but I knew that was a different type of player when I saw the physicality. And there are players like that at this program that you just like you get to see from in person and watching tape, and it's just special to watch. And I'm very happy I get to talk about these guys, but also cover them throughout the year because it was exciting stuff.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed in your speech right there was that you said the rival. Is that a real thing? Like the Michigan Ohio State thing? I understand it's with the players and the coaches, but like,
Oh
what's the
man,
thing? You guys can't even say the name, and I know like they call
yeah,
you the team down south. Like, what's that whole
yeah,
vibe? Because like I'm a Midwest guy, like I'm from Illinois.
right,
College football ain't really the biggest thing here, up here, but
yeah,
clearly, even going down to the beat writers, apparently it is just the biggest thing to just
yeah,
despise the team up north. So I love that. I love the culture that you guys have at Ohio State. But you talked about all of these great players, and you talked about Arvell Reese looking like absolute huge guy, slender guy,
yeah.
whatever. My question to you is partially in jest, but partially realistically, like, what are they feeding these guys at Ohio State? Like, what is the secret to like getting these guys consistently? It seems like you
Yeah,
said you talked about 2006 and 2016. Now it's 2026, so clearly, like you said, it's every
yeah,
10 years. But even in the years where they might not have 5 first rounders, it seems like they always have a guy at the absolute top of the draft. They have a Paris Johnson, they have a Marvin Harrison, they have a Justin Fields, a CJ Stroud. Like, what do you think the secret is, and what is like the secret sauce of how they keep consistently getting these top recruits and turning them into top prospects come when they're ready for the NFL draft?
money. But no, I would say,
Good answer.
I mean, that's a huge part of it. We just have to be straight up. But first off, what you said about the rivalry, my only perspective of the rivalry, I'm a New Englander. I'm from New Hampshire, but my aunt was a diehard Michigan fan growing up. So every Black Friday or that Saturday, watching the game, and I only had really seen it from a Michigan perspective, not really rooting for either because I don't have any stake in the game. Still not rooting for either. Obviously, I'm a beat writer of the team. I follow the team, and I'm not a fan. But getting here, I have a street like 2 blocks down from me called Michigan Ave, and there's a red X on it all the time. Just
That's
because,
awesome.
like, especially during game week, that will not you will not I will not see the light today. So
Yeah.
crazy. It is real. It's very real. It's crazy, and from an outside perspective, it's really cool because there's just nothing like that really in the Northeast as far as football goes. But I think one of the secrets to what they feed these guys is Mickey Mariotti, their strength coach. I think this is his 16th, entering his 16th year as Ohio State strength coach for football, and he's one of the highest paid assistants there, and it's for a reason. I think he gets paid over $800,000 a year from his contract in 2023. And the only other guy that was getting that much money for a strength coach at a college level was Oklahoma State's guy, which making that much money as a strength coach, I mean, that is ridiculous, but it pays off, and if
Look at
you want to
Arvell
get good
Reese.
players and develop yeah, if you want to develop players really fast, I mean, you look at the list of guys in the last 16 years that he's coached. I mean, like just like some of the most athletically gifted players in all of football, like a Justin Fields, for example. Maybe he didn't pan out like many people thought he would, but one of the most athletically gifted players coming out of college, maybe ever. Just like a really like speedy and like could throw the ball and like Denzel Ward, I think Marshawn Lattimore, like these crazy gifted corners. Zeke Elliott, obviously, Okuda, Chase Young. Like the list goes on and on. These guys that like, yeah, the production was there, but they were really drafted because they were physical monsters and kind of athletic freaks in their own right in their own position. And when I think about this next class, I think of Mickey Mariotti. I think of like how did Sonny Styles get to the level? Well, he has a father that is a very good
Giant.
father and
Yeah.
very has raised two sons that are very athletically gifted. Ohio product as well, but I think of Mickey Mariotti and the strength program that they have there. I think it's a total reflection of they just have the best, and at Ohio State, like you want the best. So
Yeah, and the freak athletes, I mean, they are mainly on the defensive side of the ball. But when you look at Daniel Jeremiah's big board, right,
yeah,
there are 4 Ohio State players in the top 10,
yeah,
3 of them on the defensive side. And then the one offensive player was the team's wide receiver, too,
yeah,
at Ohio State. And, there are some criticisms with him, like we just mentioned. The athletic freaks were more on the defense side of the ball.
yeah.
Carnell Tate wasn't a burner. People found themselves pretty disappointed with him and his speed. And it's also the fact he was the second option at the receiver position. How much do you think that really affects his stock from this point going forward? And do you think just knowing like the ins and outs of this team and how
Yeah.
great Jeremiah Smith is and having that perspective, do you think it is kind of overplayed and over exaggerated how much that really matters?
I think it's extremely overplayed. You think of some of the most successful wide receivers to come out of the combine with bad 40 times or bad, but like just average or subpar, like not like CeeDee Lamb, for example, didn't have a good 40 time, and he's one of the most gifted route runners in the league. Maybe his hands haven't been as good as they have in recent years, but
JSN, another Ohio State guy, didn't have a fast 40
yes.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, no, JSN didn't have a great combine either. I mean, look, he was drafted what past the 20th pick, right?
20th, yeah, he
Yeah,
was
And
20th,
he
yeah.
was
and he wasn't really
after.
panned out as his first year. He wasn't really panned out to be a wide receiver one, and really until year two when
Yeah.
they were like,
Shane
okay,
Waldron left, yeah.
we should probably not make this guy a slot guy. But yeah, I think Carnell Tate is interesting because I didn't expect him to have 4.53 was the time. 4.52, something like that. I didn't expect that out of him. I did expect a higher time. And the reason I expected a higher time is because I've seen him get downfield and open plenty of times. And again, I actually only got to see him play one game because he was hurt for the Purdue game in person. But against Minnesota, it was one of their first. I think it was their first home Big Ten game. And Jeremiah Smith already has 2 touchdowns at this point. He's kind of the story of the game. Him and Julian Sayin. This was kind of Sayin's breakout game. Is like, okay, he can really throw the ball downfield and to this NFL ready wide receiver that's insane in his own right. And then he throws a 50-yard touchdown pass to Carnell Tate, and you're like, how did he get so open? There was a safety on him. And you look at the tape, and it was a quick little shoulder shimmy and one little head turn. And Carnell Tate is 30 yards downfield, and the safety is like lost. He's like needs a map to find where the ball is and where Carnell Tate is. And I think the unique thing about Carnell Tate is his ability to get away from guys and separate fast. His shoulder, like just I think the best word to describe him is deceptive. I think we throw around smooth a lot, but don't really define what that is. When I see Carnell Tate, I see someone that's deceptive, someone that like is not making these over exaggerated like Antonio Brown like stutters
He's a
at the
Keenan
beginning of a
Allen
route.
type.
Right. Like someone
Keenan
that
Allen
makes
type.
these over exaggerated, like you don't need to do all of that, or maybe you do. That's the type of wide receiver you are. Um, Carnell Tate really minimizes his movements and still gets plenty of separation, and that's why I'm not really worried about the speed aspect. And he should be a top 5 pick. This isn't even like, I mean, I have no bias against Makai Lemon. I'm sorry, yeah, Makai Lemon or Jordan Tyson. Like I think those two are also very good prospects, but the speed has really never been Carnell Tate's game, and I could totally see the wide receiver 2 projections as like kind of like a T Higgins type, like he's there, he can get the deep ball, he can get you a 30-yard pass in contention as well, but I could totally see Carnell Tate being a wide receiver one. He put up 875 yards with Jeremiah Smith on his team and 9 touchdowns. So I'm
So
just not worried about the speed.
in short, because we are going to go to the defense, but I do just
Yeah.
want to elaborate a little bit more on Carnell Tate and kind of where you stand on him.
Yeah.
If they didn't have Jeremiah Smith, you feel comfortable with him being the wide receiver one in that
Oh,
offense?
absolutely. Jeremiah Smith is like, I think a big topic this year was how there was some media coverage on how Jeremiah Smith can pull a lot of the corners and pull a lot of the coverage to his side of the field, which would sometimes put Carnell Tate in one-on-one matchups. But you can look at there are some crazy catches from I think maybe it was the Illinois game where Carnell Tate made a crazy catch in the end zone with two guys like he was
Yes.
midair with
I know
two
exactly this.
safety. Yes, yeah. You know
His
what I'm
ability
talking
to
about.
track the ball
Yes.
it is outstanding. He wins when the ball is in the air, and it
He
happened
can
a
win.
resounding amount.
Yeah, he can win the tough catches. Like it's not just that he's a good separator with not good speed. He can win the one-on-ones and the tough catches. So yeah, I think sure it does help when a guy like Jeremiah Smith, who was probably like right at this point a consensus number one pick next year. It helps when that's on your team. Well, besides the quarterback class, it helps when that's on your team. But I'm not worried. I saw enough from him to confidently say I do. I know I'm putting a lot on the line here by saying that, but I truly think he is a. You look at him on the field against college guys, and it does look like a man amongst boys. So.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I really like Carnell Tate. Like when we did our wide receiver rankings last week, I was really like tossing and turning between him and Mekhi Lemon, and I did end up putting Mekhi Lemon. Partially, maybe the speed scared me a little bit more, but I think like looking back, like you said, it doesn't really.
It's
show
a
itself
coin
on
flip.
tape.
That Mekhi Lemon, look, and like you can not to interrupt. Mekhi Lemon
No,
is
go
a
ahead.
very good wide receiver, completely different wide receivers,
Yeah.
not receiver,
Oh yeah.
but great. He is fantastic, and I don't fault anyone that puts him ahead. I just from what I saw a lot of Carnell Tate this year. So, yeah, I
Well,
don't fault you for that.
Patrick, I'm going to make an amendment to my list. He's persuaded me. So Carnell Tate has jumped to spot number one.
Oh,
Can we
nice.
do that? Is that allowed? It's our show. We can do
I
what we
mean,
want.
it's been a few weeks. I feel like at a certain point there's an expiration date. No,
When we do our draft live stream, I'm just gonna say Carnell Tate's been my wide receiver one since day one, and
This
I'm
is
just
going to come back to bite me in like 3 years. Like
yeah,
we're gonna
no,
just be
yeah.
like,
Mekhi Lemon's gonna be putting
That's
up
how
videos
intense
or
person. You're
something.
gonna be like, oh, you're the guy that told me to, yeah. So
And then I'm gonna play my video. I was like, I told you guys, Mekhi Lemon was wide receiver
I was
one.
right. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
That's good. Good clickbait. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I'm never
we
wrong.
got it
I'm
all
just
figured
early.
out.
Yeah, I'm just early. So that was talking about the offensive side. I want to switch to the defensive side.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is really interesting about Ohio State, number one, you talked about the money, but it's like how they
Yeah.
spend the money, right? Obviously, they have such an outpouring of cash coming in, and there's a whole separate conversation about NIL and all that stuff. But
Right.
they invest clearly into their facilities, into their coaching staff. You talked about their strength coach. I want to talk about defensive coordinator
Yeah.
and the ability to bring in a guy with his legacy, I guess is the right
Yeah.
word, with his resume, with his ability. I mean, he was there with Bill Belichick, they winning Super Bowls with the Patriots and Tom Brady. Like, what does that do if I'm a 19-year-old linebacker, right? And I have this defensive coordinator who has won Super Bowls, as in plural. Like, what does that do, I guess, for not only like the respect level, but just for like the advantage that they have over every other team? Because not every college has a multiple time Super Bowl champion defensive coordinator as their defensive coordinator. So
Yeah.
what do you think kind of the benefits of Matt Patricia being in Ohio State, being in Columbus, and getting to, we talked about 4 of the top 10 prospects, 3 of them are on defense, right? Like,
Yeah.
could you talk about kind of the Matt Patricia effect and that what he's had in Columbus?
Man, college football is so interesting because like it's just there's so the level from the top the peak of it to the bottom of it is so different. And I think Ohio State being like the top of the food pyramid and the top of the food chain, they're just like, why are we wasting our time uh, having one guy do all the recruiting and the coaching when we can have one guy that we know can really, really coach really well and do stuff that no one has seen at this level before and have another guy for recruiting. And that's what they did when they got Matt Patricia. They clearly have changed the role of what a college coordinator and maybe like, the higher levels of the Big Ten. And eventually I think this will creep down to the SEC as well. Um, this is just what the game is now. It's like we have players that are coming out of college that are, or coming into high school. Like, for example, like Ohio State is going to have Chris Henry Jr. next year, who is this
Oh,
wide receiver freak, and
I feel old.
who is his offensive coordinator in his first year of college? It's Arthur Smith. Like that is insane.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because the physicality is there, and these players are becoming more mature from an earlier age. They're going to prep school. They have all the resources in the world in high school. So I think for Ryan Day, it was a no-brainer. It's like, well, why should I have him waste my coordinator waste time when I can have him really work into the defense? I think we would be talking more about, I mean, and it's a big conversation, but we would be talking more about how historic of a defense Ohio State's was if they won the national championship. But they ended up obviously faltering to Indiana and Miami. And that was not the defense's fault. The offense let them down in both of those games. In my Miami game was the defense in a more timely way, but um, the things you see tape wise, like coaches in the Big Ten would gasp. They'd be like, "We have never seen this before." Random safety blitzes and just like using Caleb Downs in like every way possible, using Arvil Reese in like every way possible, using Sonny Styles like this off-ball linebacker. It's like, oh yeah, we can blitz him too, and you're not going to get away with anything. Even like if you have a good run game, like Sia, we have like Caden McDonald and defensive tackle. We have this insane forefront that you cannot stop. And the way they just hid coverages and just were able to, they hid really well. And in college, when kids are still learning playbooks and like how to take in a playbook, it messed up so many offenses, and it was wild to see in person because I sometimes found myself more fascinated by the Ohio State defense than the offense, even though the offense has like some of the best talent in the wide receiver front we've ever seen. So it opens up the playbook to all these wild things that can take you to the college football playoff. So
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, obviously, I knew from the day that he got hired that Matt Patricia
no,
was going to be a huge boost. But I remember watching, like, I was thinking, like, Bryce Underwood, like this guy at Michigan. We're not allowed to say the name, but I'll, for context, this guy who's this top recruit. This
You're allowed to.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
I'm
allowed
allowed
to,
to
I
say
guess,
it
right?
too. Like it's not, you can say the name.
So, I don't know the bylaws, man. I'm not trying to like get you in
I
trouble
am
with
not
anything,
on
okay?
the team. Don't worry. Like I cover them. I critique them. Like we're good.
Oh,
Like
okay.
yeah, we're good.
I think of a guy like Bryce Underwood from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
One of these top recruits, like got whatever it was, $100 billion to go to Michigan.
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy shout out, whatever. And I'm watching him, and he's like drowning out there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this poor kid, he's like 20 years old. He's going up against Matt Patricia's defense. Like, he got no shot. Like, there's no way. So I've just thought, like, how many of these college quarterbacks, we don't have a lot of Brandon Whedons out there. There's not a lot of 26-year-olds taking snaps in college. These guys have not seen this level of defense from a schematic standpoint, like you're saying. And I think, A, gives you such an advantage there. And then, B, oh, yeah, we have Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese and all of these guys. And so I agree with you. Like, Ohio State's defense was, and I don't need you, you don't need me to tell you this, but they were phenomenal last year.
Well, Mike, I'll give you a number.
Yes, I love numbers.
9.3. You know what that is?
9.3 is that their average points per game?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the fewest allowed since 2011.
Wow.
Which that's
that Bama?
2011 is not
Bama?
Close anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
that's a long
I
time.
I think the college game has gotten so, not to go on another tangent, but like the college game has gone so much more towards offense where, these it's a lot easier for young quarterbacks, like quick reads, bubble screens, like all of these like quick outlets that these quarterbacks have now. Whereas a lot of times, like back in the day, I think of like those old Alabama Nick Saban teams. It's like, all right, if your running game is not working, your quarterback's going to drown. You know what I mean? So
and those old Alabama Nick Saban teams were the previous record, the Alabama in 2011, which is just like you think about that. It's like we're comparing this defense to a prime Saban defense, and
this is good stuff.
Yeah,
well, it comes down to kind of exactly what made that Saban Alabama team for as long as it was great. It was because they were constantly getting these NFL coordinators, right? It was a huge part of it, and I mean, that's kind of where I want to spin this because we mentioned Matt Patricia And you mentioned the
Hey, really quick,
multi-position. Right?
before you go to your next thing, we have a minute and a half left on this one.
Do you want to end the call now and go into another one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I was about to say that. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, I'll send you another one.
Yep.
Yeah, just email me when you are ready.
A lot of these collegiate defenses, like you mentioned, Alabama, right? A big advantage is what they're able to do with the X's and O's. And you talked about how Matt Patricia, he was deploying guys all over the place. Arvell Reese was an edge, but he was also an off-ball linebacker. And Sonny Styles, he was a linebacker, but he was also a safety. And Caleb Downs was, like you said, all 11 positions. So it's kind of this weird thing where, you know, it works great at an NFL level or at an NFL level when it's done right.
Right.
But we see a lot of defenses try and do that, and it doesn't quite work. At the collegiate level, if it's coached properly, it's kind of guaranteed to work. Now, when you have that caliber of athlete, that's how you get historic numbers, like you were just saying. But you look at guys like Isaiah Simmons that came out of the draft in recent memory, who the multi-positionalness kind of hurt them.
Yeah.
Do you see that being a potential outcome with these guys? And if you don't, kind of what gives you that confidence?
Yeah. I actually have a more of an interesting take on this one. I think there are pros and cons. I think it helps with a guy like a Sonny Styles or a Caleb Downs. These are guys that are going to be playing positions that are required to be in leadership roles and also like, you know, play calling, kind of commanding, orchestrating the defense on the field besides what the coordinator is doing. For example, Caleb Downs playing safety, that's kind of a given. That's kind of what we see the modern safety, the more, you know, these really successful safeties doing in the game. I wouldn't compare him to like a Kyle Hamilton. I don't think he's that type of player. He's a little bit different. He's just versatility wise. I don't see him projecting like that type of player. He's going to be all over the field. He's going to be really used exactly how he was in college. I think he fits into a defense. I love my favorite mock of him is probably the Commanders. I think he slots in really nicely. Even the Cowboys, I don't think he'll fall that far, but just someone that needs to be like the center of it all and not necessarily like the number one playmaker. You don't draft a safety if you want the number one playmaker. You draft a safety if you need someone to kind of like put everything together. Sonny Styles too. Now that's obviously a little bit different of a position. Sonny Styles has the ability to blitz if he needs to, but he also has the ability to play off ball better than most of these linebackers in the class. And he was used in both ways. I can see why a guy like Harbaugh would want him at the number 5 pick because the physicality and the speed and all of these ability, like someone like that, I am not worried about how they are used in college. They are being drafted purely. I mean, he had the production at the college level, but someone like that is being drafted purely for the athletic talent. It's like, hey, we can put him anywhere. He is one of the craziest long jump, vertical jumps in like the last 20 years. His broad jump is better than any linebacker in the class. His 40-yard is better than any edge linebacker in the class, and he's all muscle. It's unbelievable. Now, kind of where I switch this is Arvell Reese. Now, I think it did hurt his stock like slightly that he kind of was used in both ways, and then gets to the combine. It's like, okay, I'm actually going to be an edge rusher. And then it's like, some people are like, well, you know, like a Daniel Jeremiah or like all these, you know, Mel Kiper, these guys are like, well, hold on. You definitely projecting better as an edge rusher. And you should, if you're going to be drafted that high, you should be used in that way. There was a really good side-by-side comparison of Reese getting down low and around edge rushers compared to other like true edge, like a David Bailey, true edge rushers in the class. And his technique was maybe not as good in those videos, but that's social media, whatever. I think a guy like Reese can learn eventually how to truly be a one-stop edge rusher talent. I do think, though, it might take a little longer than like a Styles or a Caleb Downs will to mesh into a defense. So I think if you're drafting Reese, I think it should be more as like a developmental, like we see the ceiling, like and it just is all the way up. It's really high up versus a guy like Styles or Downs where it's like we know what they're capable of. We know they have the maturity and the leadership as well as the physical traits that Patricia provided them with a plethora of playbook options to get anywhere in the field.
Yeah.
Mike, you gotta let me follow up just really quick.
I was gonna
on
jump
that.
in, but I was
Because
like,
with the
I can't get
Arvel, with me being the Arvel guy I am, I feel like I have to at least
Yeah, no, go for
offer
it.
the follow up, not a counter debate, because like there is accuracy to that.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a certain point where you look at the strength that he has relative to his weight? Because if he was going to play full time edge, never drop back
Yeah.
into coverage, he could gain weight and then get even stronger. Do you
Yeah.
think, to a certain extent, it's possible where he could kind of go the Jared Verse route, where kind of just, I'm stronger than the guy in front of me, even at an NFL level, I'm the 1% of the 1%, and I don't need to have that elite bend of a David Bailey.
Yeah. Like I never, and this is tough because there's so much tape out there of his this year, and but then that's another tricky part is like you really only have this season to work off of. He was not getting the reps he was last season. So you get this physical specimen that is thin. He's slender, but he's still all muscle and can stand toe to toe with tackles. I never really thought his off-ball stuff was like the best of his abilities. I thought the ground and pound, I am stronger than you, was the best of his abilities, and just getting past guys. Look, he'll probably be used in both ways. If he gets drafted by the Titans, I think especially because they do have holes in every area, or not every area, but a lot of their defense, and they'll need him to do both. But I think it depends on where he goes. It depends on the system he goes into. That's kind of at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I see him more as like, I think he should maybe gain. Maybe it's hard to say because he's so strong. Like he's ridiculously strong.
It's crazy.
But I think the speed is a big part of his game. He can kind of get the first step better than most, and I think his unique physique will play in the NFL at that level. I guess we'll have to see in the first few games, depending on the team he's drafted by. It's like, is this as an edge rusher? Let's separate the off ball. Like, as an edge rusher, will he project as like a strong? I'm going to beat you no matter what, like a Michael Parsons. And I think he can get to that level, and that's why I think if you're going to draft him, you should try to go edge rusher route. But
there's a certain extent of like these guys feel like they could fit in any scheme. Because we saw every single front. We saw a 4-3 under. We saw Sonny Styles line up on the edge as like a Sam linebacker at times.
Which is wild, by the way. Yeah. Like
we've
that
seen
a team in college could do that, but yeah.
We've seen Arvel we've seen him play in a 2-point stance. We've seen him work just as well in a 3-point stance. We've seen both Styles and Arvel on the defensive line. And then we have we have Caleb Downs playing the box safety spot as a linebacker. So it's like when guys can be deployed everywhere, it's hard to say there's a concrete projection. And I just kind of question how much that could go against them.
It's really difficult. And the reason why it's so difficult with him is because you really only have the 1 year to work off of.
Yes.
And you have, again, a Matt Patricia calling the plays and putting him everywhere because that's just what he does. So he is to me like the most intriguing, but also the biggest question mark. And that's not a knock on him at all. It's just like, he is just so unique. His ceiling is so high, but it's wild that, I don't think they're necessarily like dumb or anything. It's wild that some people don't think he will pan out because you only have 1 year to work off of. I think he's a surefire, like top 3, like, it's the physicality and the production is there. It's not like a Shamar Stewart type situation where it's like, this guy is so physical, but we have not seen the production in the college level. Like, no, we saw the production. It was just in different ways. It might not appear on the stat sheets with like the best of the best in college football, as far as like sacks and tackles even. But the production's there. You could see it.
Yeah, we have the David Bailey fans in our comments blowing us up, talking about, he led the nation in sacks and just
the David Bailey fans don't like us.
Yeah,
they're not fans of us.
Even though I'm starting to get on the David Bailey train a little bit more, but in terms of Arvel Reese, like I think me and Patrick both had the same thought where it's like this guy's ceiling is much higher than any of the edge rushers in this draft, like ceiling. Now, like you said, because of the inexperience, because of kind of moving around a lot, there is a chance that it doesn't work out. Like there is a chance. I feel personally very, very, very confident that Caleb Downs will be at worst like a very good player. I think that is his floor is like very good player.
Yeah.
Arvel Reese, though, obviously there is a little bit more risk. There is a little bit more inherent risk. And me and Patrick have been advocating for the Jets to take him as high as number 2. Like, I really do think, like you talked about, he might not be the creme de la creme day one, but the Jets aren't exactly going to be winning the Super Bowl next year, right? So to have him grow along with them, and by year 2, year 3, whatever, I think he could blossom into being a real superstar pass rusher. But, guys like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, and even, we mentioned Cardinal Tate earlier in the episode, I think those guys will be high impact players day one. I don't know because of the inexperience with Arvel Reese, but that wouldn't scare me off personally. I mean, I love his tape. I think, like you guys talked about, he's ridiculously strong. I think
the Jets, and to your point, the Jets have no need to get an NFL day one ready. Obviously, there's always like the risk element, but if look, they just got a defensive minded head coach in Aaron Glennon. If they really think he is still worth keeping his job, then he will be able to figure out what to do with a physical specimen like that.
I mean, I would have fired him after my former cornerback of a coach led my team to 0 interceptions, but that's just me. That's New York, I guess. I want to transition. We spent most of this episode, and for good reason, talking about the premier players coming out of this draft. Even guys like, talked about Caden McDonald at defensive tackle. Give me 1 or 2 names, okay? And it's hard, because maybe Ohio State, everybody's talking about them. Give me 1 or 2 names in this draft coming out of Ohio State that people aren't talking about enough that you think are going to be really good players that could be draft steals. Give me 1 or 2 players that, like the average Joe wouldn't tell you is going to be a really good player coming out of Ohio State this draft cycle.
I think and you just mentioned Caden McDonald, and I do want to talk about him because even though he's a first round talent, he's fringe first round. I've seen him mocked in round 2. I think we talk a lot about the first 12 picks of this draft as like some really amazing players, guys that will be all pro. You have guys like Reuben Bain, you have guys like the wide receiver class, even in the wide receiver class is going to go into the mid, first round with Omar Cooper and guys like that. I like Caden McDonald a lot. I think if you're a team like a Buffalo or like, I don't know, a team that really
in Chicago, they need help.
Yeah, a team that just needs help in the run defense. He's a 3-down guy, and his floor is very safe. I really don't see a team drafting Caden McDonald and being disappointed. Which I think at the end of the day, if we're talking about the end of the first round, these are teams that are already probably good, or just need to get a little bit better. And I think a team like a Chicago, I actually do really, really like that. A team that really needs help on defense and just doing the simple things like blocking the run. Something Chicago was, pretty bad all year, and ended up horrible. It ended up hurting them in the playoffs. So I think Caden McDonald, if you are a team that really just needs just solid interior line, you're getting someone very safe. And I think that name should be mentioned more. I could see him higher than 31 where I've seen him mocked. But yeah, and then I'm just going to throw this one for fun. This isn't necessarily serious, but Lorenzo Styles is fun. I think for us, if you need special teams, like in like the way later rounds, like round 6 or 7, he is fun. And he just ran a 4.22, which was incredible. Maybe, I don't know what his defensive ceiling is going to project as. I really was never a big fan of his man-to-man abilities and just his coverage abilities in general. I think sometimes he would get burned, even though he has that elite speed. But this is Ohio State, where you get guys from Glenville, Eastern Columbus, where like there are some great high schools, and that's where the Styles brothers really marinated and won. These are state championship players, both the Styles brothers. Lorenzo is a mature, smart player. I think it's more about molding, the speed and seeing what you can do with it. I think that the size is definitely a concern, but I think that'd be a fun special teams player. So I'll throw that in there. Again, this is a really top-heavy Ohio State class. It just happens to be. There are years where it's not. I think about like even 2016, like most of those picks were in the later first round. Like I think Eli Apple's 10, Decker was 15 or 16, but like, not the first top 10 picks. This is a top-heavy class, and that's why it's really fun to talk about. But there are some names in there in the late first round, and then like late flyers in the sixth or seventh. You could see like that, like a Styles. So
if you're to wrap it up, if you were to look at one of those top names, and I told you only one of them is going to be this multi-time Pro Bowl, All-Pro, Pro Bowl player, who do you think that would be?
Yeah, I thought about that question a lot because every player in the top, of these top 5 Ohio State players is so different. They're different positions. They are very different. There's not like similar players that are being drafted. I'll say it, I've said it since the beginning. Caleb Downs is I like, and there's a lot of questions about drafting a safety. That's been the whole media narrative. It's like, are you drafting safety too high? In a player like that, you're never drafting too high. Like, he is a bruiser of a safety. He is so strong. I've seen some of the biggest hits come from him, and he is a smaller frame. He's not like an edge or a linebacker. He's a safety, but he reads the field so well. He's able to get in positions in the middle of the field where other safeties wouldn't even think of being. He can, hide a blitz really well if you need him to. He can get to the quarterback. He can play coverage if he needs to. He can spy in the deep field. Like, there are so many things that he can do. And for anyone that says like, oh, he's just got a floor, like he's got a really high floor, and that's kind of it. I completely disagree. He, I think, is one of the safest players of the draft for a reason. It's because he will add to your defense no matter what defense you draft him into. He's a plug and play guy. He's a day one guy. He will succeed in the NFL. If I had to put I'm not a betting man, but if I had to put my money on anyone, it would be him. There are questions about, again, will Tate pan out to a wide receiver 1? Will Reese reach his full potential? Sorry, that's my alarm. Will Sonny Styles, truly be able to lead a defense as an off-ball linebacker and be a multi-pro caliber guy that, if the Giants draft him at 5, like that they want him to be? I think Downs is the safest for a reason, and I would bet my money on him being a multi-all-pro, someone we talk about for a long time.
Last thing I want to say, and I have to ask this question because it came upon me a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Without explaining it, without elaborating on it, give me one of your biggest draft hot takes that you have.
Oh. See, this is a weird draft because, like, there's the quarterback class is just non-existent.
Yep.
You don't like Ty Simpson? Dude, what's going on? Come on, man.
It gets much worse than Ty Simpson.
Yeah, we're talking about Drew Aller in our top.
I think Ty Simpson falls. I think he falls dramatically. That's my hot take.
Okay.
I think if the Jets took him with their second first round pick, it would just be
that would be so
one of the worst. Like, and I am not, again, Ty Simpson is fine. He is a fine player. The if you compare, like, the Jets have all these picks to play with, and if they take a quarterback with one of these picks and then they're sitting like in a slightly better position next year or a worse draft position next year when all of these quarterbacks go, like, it would just be an all-time blunder. And I just don't think I'm not even like that. And this, okay, I'm not even that big on Mendoza. Like, I really am not.
Me too. Me neither. Me neither.
I just am not
on the different side of the table a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm not like the biggest Mendoza guy, but I like him.
No, I think in Mendoza, like, the things I like about his game is that he can, as awkwardly as he can run. He can get out of the pocket. It looks not natural, but he's good. I mean, he's won the game against Miami doing that.
Yeah.
and he has a good arm, and he is accurate. Like he can do things, and he is good. I think he will be good. I just think the bar for quarterbacks this year is just so low, and I really don't see.
When we were doing our top 7, it was rough.
Yeah,
it was Fernando Ty, and oh man, what do we do?
So I don't know if this is a hot take. I think Mendoza is the only QB to go in the first round. People
that counts. Yeah.
So that's my hot take. Other hot takes, man. That's really it, guys. I think it's a pretty cookie cutter draft because like it's just going to be like team needs.
I would say it's almost the thing that makes it so difficult to have a hot take is it feels like there's so much versatility in terms of how the board could fall, because like there's the top 12, top 10, even maybe not even top 10, like top 9. And then it's like everyone's in this lumped tier of like everyone kind of feels like a late first round guy. Like there's not really, this guy's going to fall. Like for a while I was on like, Jermon McCoy might fall because of injury, but then he balled in the pro day. So it's like, it's one of the weirdest classes in recent memory. There's no doubt that.
I think my other take is I think, and I have no real, like, there's nothing bad about his game that I think would make this drop. I don't think Downs will be drafted in the top 10. I think he will be passed to 12. I think just
Cowboys
there were like, and I just think it's that whole safety rumor. Like I genuinely do. I think it's just people like, I think there will be 3 Ohio State guys drafted in the top 10 and it won't be Downs. So I think
it's so funny though, because if we're talking about like the stock of safeties, we just saw Nike Manwari for the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, kick butt all year. They're a great defense regardless of him, but he came in day 1. He got hurt in week 1, so maybe day 2. But like right away, he was an impactful player, and throughout the year, you just saw him make play after play. He was blocking kicks, he was intercepting passes, he was sacking the quarterback. This guy was everywhere. So to see a rookie nonetheless do what he did last year for the Super Bowl champion, sneaky one of the best defenses of all time, and we're still like not high on safeties. I just don't get it. I don't think that. I think the game is so dependent on their versatility. So I don't understand why the stock is still so low on Caleb.
My only reason why is because like just looking at the teams, looking at the teams, the players available. Like I think we'll go Mendoza, and then I think we'll go Reese and maybe Bailey at 3, and then there's kind of like this shuffle between like Bailey and Tate and Sonny Styles and like all and like there's this whole jumbo in the mat, and then Jeremiah Love will be picked in the top 10.
Yeah, and now how I just don't value McCoy again. Like I still think that's the X factor in this class.
I just think there's a lot of players that are like could be drafted anywhere as low as 3 and as high as 10. Like I think Downs kind of falls in, or as high as 12. I think Downs falls in that category of like any team 4 through 12 could take him, and it wouldn't be a bad pick. I just think that teams will kind of get cold feet, and then we maybe get. I finally like a good Cowboys defense for the first time in a while. So
Parker has to be like praising God that Caleb Downs falls to 12. If that's the case.
Yeah, Jerry would be.
It'd be like when Micah fell to 11, he fell to 10 or 11, whatever he did, and they were just like, okay, we'll take the best pass rusher in like 5 years in the draft. I guess we'll take him.
Yeah.
I can see the Caleb Downs on the franchise tag ends up holding out.
Caleb Downs is holding out of training camp.
I can see it in 2030 already.
Yep.
You know what? Just to play into this narrative, I'm going to stick with that hot take more than the QB one, just because it would play out so perfectly. It would just be such a Cowboys move. I don't see that with any other player. Just Downs,
3 years straight, and then he gets traded for 2 firsts to like the 49ers or something. And then,
it's a contender or something. Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan still can't win a Super Bowl, but he finally gets another safety. So
as always, Jerry Jones making mistakes. As always, Dan Aulbach. Pleasure to talk with you, have you on the show. Thank you once again for coming on. And we got some running back rankings to go over here, Mike.
Yeah, we do, man. We do. Not a lot of Ohio State running backs in this class. Not a lot of running backs in this class, period, I suppose. But there's a couple good ones, especially from one school. So we'll get into it.
Talk to me about your favorites, just talk to me about them.
All right, so transitioning from our Ohio State-centric talk, me and Patrick now we're going to talk about running backs. Now, this running back draft class, in case you haven't heard, is how I would like to describe it as a monarchy, right? It is a one-man rules king over the rest, and everybody else is kind of fighting for the scraps. This is not a communism analogy, but this is just kind of a the way the running back draft is going. You're looking at me like I'm insane, but
Yeah, you said monarchy, and I was like, where are you going with this?
for the king, obviously. Come on, you
Oh,
don't know
because there's
worldwide
one top guy. Okay.
Yes. Come on.
I mean, that is not
Somebody
even
didn't pass
where my head
world
went.
government. Somebody didn't pass world government. But
No,
let's hope that your running back evaluation skills are better than your geopolitical skills, my friend, because we need to rank some running backs. Of course, as we've done for the rest of the list, you have your list. I'm going to react to it, give the correct take, and then we can move on to the next guy. But I guess cue the drum roll. Patrick, who do you have as your top running back in this draft class?
My number one is actually going to be, contrary to popular belief, guys, I actually have a very unique, very special player at my number one. No one sees this coming. Notre Dame running back, Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love, by far. Like, listen, you want a weapon out of the backfield? You have it. Like, his ability to get open in space is awesome because he can run routes really well. He can catch the ball out of the backfield really well. And when running backs get taken early, as someone that doesn't really value the running back position a lot, I do think, and you're going to see, the way I evaluate this position in the draft, it does really change my list from a lot of the other lists you might have seen. And you're going to see that more down the line because this is a draft class where people are more on the same page that, well, it's Jeremiah Love and then everyone else, and it doesn't really matter the order you have everyone else in. But I think running backs have to be able to differentiate themselves from the pack because if you're just a good running back, I don't care because there's like 90 of them. Like there are so many running back one caliber running backs out there. So how does Jeremiah Love separate himself? And again, I look at the receiving ability. I look at his ability to get open and contribute as a receiver. And this guy does it. And when he gets the ball, he's able to create home run plays consistently. I mean, he really is remarkable at doing that. His explosiveness, right? You're getting a true scat back. You're not getting this guy to have him pass block. Like, no, you are getting this guy to get him the ball, whether that's through the receiving game, like I just said, or running game. He can create explosive plays for you. The speed is unreal. I mean, play speed, not just, his top speed. His play speed is unreal. He is so good at making defenders miss in the open field. A lot of the time you see running backs, they're so fast. When they try and make a cut, they're running a little bit out of control. They can't make the cut the way that they want to. I think that's always a huge issue that you see. And Jeremiah Love doesn't have that issue. While being elusive, though, he has really strong contact balance, very strong. Specifically, the lower half, it's remarkable. He consistently falls forward through contact. He doesn't really fumble. The hands, like I said, are reliable. He has an expansive route tree, and he's overall versatile. I mean, not only is he a nice receiver out of the backfield, you can put this guy at slot receiver. He will contribute. Now, I do think there's something to say about the vision not being great, but I think the biggest knock on Jeremiah Love, the biggest knock would be the fact he wasn't a bell cow. I do think that is the biggest thing you could say, but that was also mainly a this year problem. Like the years before, Price became the player he was. It was kind of like, like he was the bell cow.
I think that's more a victim of, like,
Price coming in.
You have two good running backs. He's the
there's
better
a reason
one, but
this guy's projected to go top 10.
Yeah.
I'm kind of grabbing at straws.
Yeah, you're nitpicking a little bit, which you have to.
I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I am, because I don't believe there's such thing as a perfect prospect.
No.
Jeremiah Love is outstanding. He is unbelievable, outstanding. I wouldn't say he's the best running back I evaluated. I want someone that could hit it between the tackles a little bit better. I'd rather have Genty, personally.
I'd rather have Bijan for sure. Saquon for sure.
You would rather have Bijan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I don't agree. Saquon, of course, was great. And I acknowledged he was great. But personally, hold on. You're making a face. You're making a face. I don't support it.
You would take Jeremiah Love over Bijan Robinson given the opportunity.
Over Bijan. No, over drafting Bijan? Like pre-draft evaluation Bijan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were making a face at the Saquon Barkley statement. I was going to say the Saquon Barkley statement, I don't even know. I was going to say with Saquon Barkley, I wasn't really evaluating prospects in 2018.
That's fair.
I remember
That's
him
fair.
being
That's
great. So
But
with
you would-
Saquon, I don't
I'm
know.
fascinated
But with
by this.
Bijan, I would 100% take him over Bijan.
You're higher on Jeremiah Love than you were Texas Bijan Robinson. That's very
Yes.
interesting.
I love
disagree.
Texas Bijan. I love Texas Bijan.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
But I do think what Jeremiah Love does as a receiver is really, really nice.
I think
I do, and I do think Bijan
is-
contributes the same way.
Bijan
but
is
Jeremiah
significantly
Love's
better
better
with
at
the
it.
ball in his hands, in my opinion. Like significantly better.
I'll agree. I don't think he has the explosiveness that we see out of Jeremiah Love. No, I do think he's an explosive player, not Jeremiah Love's. I think Jeremiah Love is more explosive. I think Bijan is more elusive. How's that?
I mean, I appreciate you trying to throw me a bone, but I still disagree. Like
Still, you disagree? Okay, that's
still
fine.
disagree.
Listen, we're comparing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
we're
going to try to
comparing.
do the food analogies, and you understand that this isn't what I do. So I'm sorry for trying to steal your gimmick and probably failing. But you're
No, it's okay.
comparing pumpkin pie to apple pie. Two elite dessert foods right there.
Then you're correct. Apple pie's Bijan is significantly better in my opinion.
You're crazy because pumpkin pie is spectacular.
No, it's
the same way that Jeremiah Love is
don't let big Halloween convince you that pumpkin pie is elite, man. This is
Halloween is. I'm not even eating pumpkin pie for Halloween. Like I wish I was eating pumpkin pie for
Thanksgiving.
Halloween. I wish I was eating pumpkin pie all year long. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Come on, this guy doesn't even know his seasons. He's trying to talk about NFL running backs.
Well, you don't eat pumpkin
Unbelievable.
pie during Halloween?
Huh? Sadly, I don't. I would like to.
That's
Though.
a you
Now
problem.
you
I
have
don't
me
know. I don't
wanting
know what to
pumpkin
tell you.
pie.
That's
I
your
could
problem.
kill for some pumpkin pie right now. But no, I would take Genty, and then Jeremiah Love is the next best running back I evaluated. Bijan is my third. Again, I just don't think Bijan has the explosive playmaking that Jeremiah Love has. I think it's close.
Fascinating. We could spend this. That is one of those arguments where we could probably spend 2 hours on. So
Yeah.
for sake of argument, I will exit stage right on talking about Bijan versus Jeremiah Love. But don't let this take away from the fact that I agree with 90% of what else you said, which was phenomenal player. Definitely is going to be a top 10 pick. I could see him going as high. I could see him going as high as 3 to Arizona. Hands in the air. I could see it happen.
If you really are lower on him than you were on Bijan, do you think he's worth that top 3 capital?
So
top 5.
I'm going to totally cheat out of this question.
Yes.
I'm going to say Jeremiah Love as a player is worth taking 3, 4, 5th overall. The issue is does your team have the infrastructure in place to where taking a player like that would make sense? Because the Falcons, this is my biggest, like one of my biggest draft hot takes ever. And I love Bijan, as you could tell by our previous argument. I thought it was a huge mistake that they took Bijan. And it's not because I thought Bijan wasn't going to be a great player. We talked about this a couple weeks ago where Bijan's been a great player, and what has it done for Atlanta? Nothing.
Yeah.
They suck.
Spot on.
And so I thought at the time that they weren't in a position to draft a luxury position of running back. They weren't. They still aren't. So the Bijan pick didn't help their team as much. It was great for their Instagram, I'm sure. All those highlights. I don't know if you see the actually really cool video guy.
Cam?
Yeah, like that's sick.
That's
like I mean,
sick.
he's worth it. He's worth the price of admission just for that alone. What has it done in the win column? That's my question. So
Valid.
if I'm a team picking top 4, like Tennessee, like Arizona, am I saying, hey, is he worth the pick? Yes. Can we afford to take him given the needs around our team? Probably not. Like Arizona should not do that. They need major help. Tennessee probably shouldn't do that, although you can make the argument that you get a great weapon for Cam Ward, so it's defensible. Could, the Browns do it at 6? I'm sure they could. Oh, well, I know they have Junkins, but just giving an example. So the player itself is worth taking that high pick, but what team is taking him? Who do they have? What holes do they have? Like, I thought a perfect example of this would be, and I know they signed Kenneth Walker, so it's not going to happen, but if he falls to 9, Kansas City is a team that you're like, oh, yeah, no, this would be great, because they have needs for sure, but they're pretty well built. They have a guy number 15.
Receiver.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'd take Rashee Rice as number 4, and we'd all forget about him. But so that's where again the positional value of running backs comes in, and I would argue it's not so much the positional value, but it's what they need in order to be successful. They need a good offensive lineman. They need a play caller to fully maximize their skill set.
I think it's positional value because running back is the last thing you should be prioritizing on that list. That's why it's positional value.
I mean, Saquon was great for the Giants. What did they win while he was there? 1 playoff game?
Well, that's exactly it.
5 years?
That's exactly my point. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah, and
Yeah, he's a really good prospect. And if I was ranking every prospect in a big board, he would
he's
be in that
consensus
top
top
3.
5. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
top
consensus
3,
like
top 5.
Yeah.
But would I take him with a top 5 pick? No.
Who's the
Again,
first team? We talked about the Giants. I don't think I
I
personally
think
I
the
don't think he
Giants
gets.
would be a nice team to have him.
I don't think he'll
Because I
get. I
do
don't
think
think he'll
they're
get past the
quietly
Giants.
more well-rounded as a football team than you realize.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if they have competent coaching. But then again, the problem Matt Nagy. You know what I'm saying?
But
So who knows?
also, hold on. But I do think that there's something to say about if Matt Nagy's so incompetent, maybe a guy who makes the offense as simple as get it in his hands,
Good point.
get in
Good
Jeremiah
point.
Love's hands, makes it so Matt Nagy can suck and they could still be a good offense. You know?
It would be hard to fail with a guy like that, where you just have to, hey, dump it off to him. Let's load up Madden and play and draw up halfback slip screen. Let's do that, Matt Nagy.
Arthur Smith. Shout out Arthur Smith for somehow not being able to feed Bijan properly.
Yeah, Tyler Algier, man. Tyler
Shout
Algier
out,
had to have.
I love Tyler Algier, but no.
He went to Arizona, sneaky, right? That was good.
Yep.
That was a sneaky good signing by them. But no, that's the argument there with Jeremiah Love. We have another guy at pick 2 who I'm not. Well, actually, let me not get to my list. Let me ask you, who is your second running back?
It isn't him. Because let's talk about the Jadarian Price, 5'10". What is he? He's 5'10", like 210.
20? Oh yeah, 210.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little higher than that, but yeah.
Let's get to the whatever size. RB2 on Notre Dame sized elephant in the room. Jadarian Price, if I looked at running backs and simply said, okay, I'm going to rank the 7 guys that I feel the most confident in as a good running back in the NFL and making an extended career in the NFL, I would have Jadarian Price as my RB2. Because I know for a fact he's going to have an NFL job for a long time by running back standards.
Right.
The issue is, we talked about it. I don't care if you're a mediocre running back because there's a million of them, right? Do I see Jadarian Price ever being that outstanding player? This is where I simply say no.
Yeah.
I don't see Jadarian Price being an outstanding running back. And if you're not an outstanding running back, you're not really a running back worth drafting overly early, in my mind. So while I think Jadarian Price is a very high floor running back, I don't care. I'm going to be honest.
Can I say something interesting before we move on? Because I know he's not your number 2, but I wanted to get this out there. In Peter Schrager, who's guy very few are more well connected than he is, in his latest mock draft, he had Seattle taking Jadarian Price at pick 32. I almost threw my phone across the room when I saw that. And this is not I don't want to say he's, got all the answers, right? Because nobody does. But this is a guy who's very well connected. So there's got to be some smoke there at the very least. And that does worry me. That does worry me a lot. I would not be happy at all with Jadarian Price at pick 32 for Seattle.
We'll get to Jadarian Price later because he is still in my top 7.
He's
but he reminds me a lot,
like David Bailey and these other guys were.
There's a lot of these. I'll be honest. It seems like every position just this year, there's been one guy where I'm way lower than consensus, except quarterback and maybe one other position. That's not intentional. I swear, it kind of just has happened.
Yeah,
it's kind of just fell that way. I don't know. Maybe
bro's just prospect maxing. Am I doing this right?
Yeah, we still have 2 more positions for me to go through. Maybe those 2 I'll be normal, or maybe I won't. We'll see. You got to stay tuned. But now Emmett Johnson is my number 2.
Oh, whoa. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Wisconsin. This guy, I low-key really like Emmett Johnson. And I say low-key because it's this running back class sucks outside of Jeremiah Love. But I like Emmett Johnson. He's a nice running back in my mind. He's a guy who cuts well in the open field. I love the contact balance. I think he really changes direction well. And he reads blocks well. So I'm seeing all the makings of a nice inside zone running back right here. All those traits I just listed, that's what makes a good inside zone running back. You add that with some legs that don't stop moving through contact, consistent catching ability, nice route running. You have a nifty running back. You have a starting running back that you feel very good about. Now, does he lack the top end speed? Yeah. Does he dance too much in the backfield sometimes? Yeah. And he's not a very good blocker, but he's like a zone running scat back, and I really do like that. I think that's a formula we've seen work. right? Again, the speed isn't amazing, but you could see a guy, operate well, reading between the tackles, right? Just simply making the right plays and then also having that nice elusiveness to be able to get to the second level because of his blocks and then juke a linebacker. And then all of a sudden you have a 10-yard gain, right? Again, the speed isn't what you want it to be. I don't disagree, but he checks all those good boxes except the speed in my mind. Like, in terms of the player you want him to be, the only thing he doesn't give you is the speed, which I know is very important, but still, I really like what I
He's
see.
quicker than he's fast. I think
Yes.
that's
Oh,
the key.
without a doubt.
He's quicker than he's fast, and I think you've seen some guys get away with it. I know obviously there's always going to be the gripe on like, all right, long plays, he breaks a run. Is he going to be able to outrun a guy? Score a long touchdown. I think that's not over. I don't think speed's overrated, but I think it's a bit like niche in the terms of how often is a guy really going to be getting to that.
It depends
third
on
level.
system a little bit.
Yeah,
it does.
getting to that
like if
third
you're running a
level.
lot of outside zone, that's why A-Chain is like awesome.
Yeah, true.
Because they run a lot of outside zone. So when he could simply beat everyone to the edge, it matters a lot.
Yeah.
But if you're running a lot of inside zone,
Right.
speed only matters to make the 10-yard gains into 20-yard.
Not a
50-yard
guy I
gains.
would compare him to like apples to apples, but a guy that is reminiscent of is like an Arian Foster. Not a guy who is like gonna be burning you, not gonna run the fastest 40-yard dash, but in between the tackles, hitting his gap, getting first down. He was quick feet, moved.
Well,
he got it moving. He wasn't a guy who
honestly,
was gonna win a track meet, but he was a guy who was really quick on his feet and was able to hit the holes quickly.
If you're going like in that era, just because of the receiving ability on top of that, and there's a lot of running backs that kind of fit that bill. Le'Veon Bell. Bell was a guy I see. Listen, if we're talking like absolute ceiling, really optimistic outlook, I see a lot of Le'Veon Bell and Emmett Johnson.
Interesting.
I do.
Interesting.
Now again, his biggest flaw is also his biggest strength. So that's the thing. Like, you can't really coach that out of him. His biggest flaw is that he's going to dance around in the backfield.
Yeah. Le'Veon
You
was
got the right offensive
He's the
line
prime
in front
example
of
of
him.
that in all of NFL history. I would say of a guy who just was patient to a strength and patient to a fault. Like that was the constant battle with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. If you get the right offensive line in front of this guy, really like Emmett Johnson. I really do. If you get the wrong offensive line in front of him, well, there's a reason we're talking so poorly about this running back class. That's my number 2. You said, ooh, so I am curious, like, how far off of your like projected opinion would he was that?
I had him at 5, but I had 2 and 4 and 5 are probably interchangeable. You could persuade me that he's 4, but I had 2 guys above him. Jadarian Price being one of them, not at number 2 though. So I'm interested if my second and your third are the same guy. I'm hoping they are because I really like
curious.
this guy, actually.
Does yours revolve around a lot of optimism?
Yes.
Nick Singleton?
No, but he's close. He is close.
Yeah.
I like Mike
Nick
Washington
Singleton.
I do.
Mike Washington is above the gatekeeper of Jadarian Price. I'll say that.
Yes. Yeah. I like him above Jadarian Price. I will be honest with you.
Okay, but we'll keep going down the list because I did
let's do
mention
it.
Nick Singleton. He's my number 3. Singleton, man, the thing that hurts him a lot and the thing that prevents him from being a number 2, he's coming off an injury with his leg. It's a knee injury. That does affect
it scares me. It scares me so much with running backs, though.
I don't blame you. But again,
it's like Jermon McCoy with the knee. I could take him top 10 if not for the dang knee injury, but I don't know, man. It scares me.
But with running backs, I evaluate off the upside. I do.
Yeah.
Like, that is how I look at drafting running backs when none of these guys are really that. Like, if your floor is still damn good running back, it's different. Yeah. Like Jeremiah Love, worst case scenario, Jeremiah Love is still a very good. Like, you're expecting him to be a good.
Even Genty last year, the Raiders were a mess, and there were games where Genty was like, "Man, this guy's incredible."
Exactly.
The one against the Texans, like you're just like, "Man, he's just a good football player."
But like everyone else in this class, there's not a like even the high floor guy in Jadarian Price. I think he would just be Blake Corum. Like, he would just be a backup.
He's better than Blake Corum, but I see what you're saying.
He has a lot of it's very similar.
He's more athletic than Blake Corum. That's notable for a running back.
Yeah, well, yeah, but is it like such an absurd amount?
I mean, a little bit.
Like,
but
we'll talk to Jadarian. We'll talk about Jadarian Price when we get to him, I guess.
Yeah.
But Nick Singleton, man. Yeah, coming off injury, I get it, but holy, the speed is so good. If you want A-Chain and you want the outside zone all the time, just beat guys to the edge, Nick Singleton.
If we were doing this list last year, I think he'd pretty clearly be in the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
Like by
Yeah, I absolutely.
It'd be Love. There'd be a smaller gap. It'd be Singleton, and then there'd be another big gap. Like that would be the order we're doing it right now.
Absolutely. He keeps the feet running through contact still, though. So that's the thing. You got speed, but you still got a willingness to embrace contact. And I always love to see that balance. Very explosive. Like he gets to his top speed very quick. So when you have a guy with that type of top speed, being able to get to it quick, very dangerous. Laterally agile, I thought. And he's able to catch the ball well out of the backfield. I also thought because of his size, he is a pretty good blocker. Like he's 6 foot 220.
Yeah.
That's a good size, right? Also a capable returner. Now, another guy, he kind of runs too fast for his own cutting ability. Like he can't cut if he's going his full speed, which means he has to deaccelerate in order to make a cut. I don't love his vision. And again, the broken he broke something in his lower body. That makes a big difference. You're hearing foot, you're hearing knee, you're kind of hearing different things. Point is, though, lower body injury concerns are absolutely there. But this guy's a playmaker. When he gets the ball, he makes plays. So, again, when I'm looking at running backs, I want you to prove you're different from the other guys. That type of speed, that type of lateral agility, what he does as a receiver, that makes a difference. So look at how Penn State looked with Adam last year. Right?
They were a mess last year, just all around, but yes, especially.
I mean, he was such a weapon. And I know even when he did play a lot this year, and he still wasn't great. But, I mean, look at the notable drop back in overall production from that team when he wasn't on the field. Nick Singleton is a guy I really like if he is able to play up to his ceiling. Again, injuries might prevent that, but upside is the name of the game for me with running backs. So he's my RB3.
Well, I mean, he's got the foot injury, which is obviously scaring the right foot, I believe. But this is a guy, I said this earlier, if this was a ranking from 2025, I would have him number 2, no questions asked. Like his explosiveness, his playmaking ability. I think just everything just kind of snowballed downhill last year from a Penn State perspective, from his injury perspective. Like, it just was not good. So, yes, he's kind of buried amongst some of these other guys. I think he's going to be a real steal in the 3rd, 4th round of the draft. And every single year, one of the guys who is not the top consensus running back, they get drafted in the mid to late rounds, and they become a really effective player for years and years and years. Alvin Kamara is like the prime example of that, taken in the 4th round out of Tennessee. So I think that he's this year's version of that, where he's a guy who's not going to go probably in the first couple of rounds, maybe the tail end of round 2, but he's going to be a really good player.
Well,
that
he won't be a relevant name. Like, that's kind of the thing with kind of everyone, except Jeremiah Love, that I have over Jadarian Price. And I'm going to be honest. There's a chance that you don't even know the name Emmett Johnson in 3 years. There's a chance that you don't know the name Nick Singleton in 3 years. And there's a chance that you don't know my number 4, Jonah Coleman, in a few years. And he's just kind of like an irrelevant kind of, really big running back that goes on the field every now and then for a 1-yard carry. Like that. That's kind of how the reality I choose to accept with the running back position, especially in a class like this. Jonah Coleman, though, there is stuff to like. Like, I'm not just going to have this guy high just off of raw upside. Like, I saw this. No, I'm talking about a guy who I saw run with really nice power. And if you are someone looking for kind of the LeGarrette Blount role, Jonah Coleman's a damn good pick. I mean, 5'8", 220. That's another way of saying it's very hard to tackle him. Mm-hmm. Just remarkable contact balance, some top-notch lower body strength. I honestly liked his vision a little bit more than I thought I was going to. He runs through contact, capable receiver too, can block really well, probably the best blocking running back in the class. Overall, he's just like a prospect who's gonna play a role for sure. Like this guy, I don't think there's really a chance he's out of the league, like I did mention with some of those other guys, because he's at least going to be like the RB3 on a team, and he'll go out there when you need a pass protector, right? Because this guy could block. Yeah. And he could also go out there when you're on 4th and 1 and you need someone to get them 1 yard. Now, is there a little bit of a conversation about how high is the ceiling?
Yeah, I don't think it's very high. But
I don't think this is Audric Estime in the sense of there isn't a ceiling, because I think that Jonah Coleman.
Estime, wow, I remember that.
Yeah, well, Audric Estime, they're really like that. He was what he was. There was
Broncos
no
fans
world.
tried to gaslight us into thinking he was going to be like Michael Bush on steroids. It's like, brother, no.
I think Jonah Coleman, with the receiving ability, if you're able to kind of fix up the route tree a little bit, you could have kind of a, what do you expect Tyler Algier to be with the Cardinals this year? What did you think James Conner was with the Cardinals for the past few years? Like, Jonah Coleman can be that, if I'm being entirely honest. He can be, he doesn't really get explosives, but goddamn, when we want to be a consistent team and move the chains, not chunk game by chunk game, but like small game by small game, Coleman's going to help you do that. Right.
Here's another Illinois phrase for you: 3 yards in a cloud of dust, baby. That's what that's what Coleman is. I have a hot take around Coleman, and it's not anything like about him as a prospect, but just I'm gonna prophesy something. He's gonna go to a team with an already established like stud running back. I'm talking like of Atlanta, Miami, Detroit, something in that vein, and he's gonna be fantasy football players' least favorite player on earth, because he's going to come in on 2nd and goal at the 1 yard line and vulture a touchdown from Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan or A-Chain or one of these like premier fantasy guys, and everybody in the fantasy community is going to hate him because his stat line is going to be 3 carries for 4 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's going to be his stat line.
I'm glad that you mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs, because I think Jonah Coleman, he really can be the David Montgomery. Like, if the Lions draft Jonah Coleman, love it. And I would be annoyed if I'm a Jahmyr Gibbs fan, dynasty owner.
Me.
Yeah, but I do think there's something valid about Jonah Coleman being able to go out there and just play that role. So a role player, so can you really say there's a crazy high ceiling? One, I'm saying role player right next to one of the best running backs in football right now. And two, I do think there is a chance, like, for a more mediocre team, he can be the RB1.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like Jonah Coleman. Also coming off of a little bit of knee action. Yeah. So
let's wrap it up though, and give me the last guy on your big board, and then we can kind of head out of here. We've talked running backs. Not a lot of these guys are going to be obviously top round picks, but round out the list, Patrick. Who do you got for me?
My number 5 and the last player I have ranked ahead of Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price is right outside of my top 5. Mike Washington.
Yeah,
is my number 5.
I like
Mike Washington. Again, can I guarantee all 4 of these guys are going to be better than Jadarian Price?
His ceiling's higher, though. His ceiling's a lot higher.
And that's exactly the thing.
Yep.
I feel like one of these guys are definitely going to be. I feel pretty confident of that.
Yep.
Maybe 2, right? And they're actually going to get paid a lot of money. Meanwhile, Jadarian Price is going to get paid to just be kind of a rotational guy. Mike Washington, though, man, this guy's a bruiser and he has some speed to him. I mean, just
he does.
Straight line, run right at you. No hesitation. Just bringing the football to you, and you could either tolerate it or you can't. This guy's 6'1", 223, and he runs with some speed. And when you're getting all that speed and on the receiving end of it, you're falling backwards and he's falling forward.
Yep.
That's a good way of getting yardage when you have a guy like that, but he also has the ability to get these big gains, right? I do think this is someone who has some more start and stop ability than you realize, and I also think he has some nice receiving ability.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the main thing. I love his speed, but I don't trust him in outside zone. And when you have that speed, I want you to be an outside zone player. And he doesn't, because he doesn't change direction very well. He cannot cut. He cannot change direction while running at the speed that he's trying to. And I think despite his size, he really isn't a good blocker. I don't love the ball security, but I think that can be fixed. Like, he had issues
that's definitely
in terms of ball security.
Yeah.
Mike Washington, again, I think the big thing, it's not really fair, because in all honesty, as an individual player, I kind of do like him more than Jonah Coleman. But I think it's harder for a team to mess up Jonah Coleman.
I gotcha.
Mike Washington, I guess this kind of goes against my entire ceiling thing. Mike Washington, a team could easily use him to be an outside zone guy, and he just simply can't do it. And then he's just forgotten about, which sucks. Jonah Coleman, that really can't happen. And yeah, again, that goes against my entire ceiling thing. But, I mean, he's kind of just traits, Mike Washington. Like, the film didn't really tell the same story.
I also attribute a lot of that to Arkansas. You know?
That's valid. That is a very
Like the
valid
Razorbacks
criticism.
are bad. Like if you think about it, realistically, they had probably the most athletic backfield in the country when you factor in Taylor Green, who quietly maybe had the greatest quarterback combine performance of all time, and it didn't matter. Their offense was middling, and their
Like between Emmett Johnson, I feel pretty good about ranking too. Singleton, Coleman,
that's the
Washington.
highest I've seen
I
Evan
really,
Johnson, in fairness.
I
But
I feel like I would rank between Washington, Coleman, and Singleton. Like every day I wake up, I would rank the three differently.
yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
It really does because they're all very different.
Yeah.
In terms of the style of football that they play. But yeah, that's how I feel about Mike Washington. I think he could be damn good. Like honestly, I feel kind of bad ranking him all the way down at 5. But I mean, Jadarian Price, he's the 6. I'm sorry, he's just. I genuinely thought Jadarian Price was going to be stronger than he was. I thought he was going to be a bigger body who could run more hard and be like a really nice thunder to the lightning of Jeremiah Love. He wasn't. He kind of just sees the right gap and runs through the right gap. Which
you
is,
missed a great opportunity to make a Marvel reference right there. Love and Thunder.
Ooh.
See, this is why I'm the best.
Name of the movie?
You said because last week you said that you're the better analyst, but I said I'm more handsome and my analogies are better. So, who's really the star of the show, my friend?
Can I just mention my number 7 just really quick? This is entirely projection because this guy only has 1 year of running back film. Adam Randall. Know the name because there's a chance that he is really damn good. There's also a chance he doesn't get drafted.
Yeah, this clip is either getting resurfaced in 4 years or we're gonna never ever see it again.
Yeah, well, that's why it's only going to be like 2 minutes, right? Adam Randall. This is a receiver convert. He is 6'3", 232, but he still ran a 2.5 as a running back. I mean, traits alone, you feel very good about that. And then you watch the film and you see a guy who, again, he only has 1 year of film, but he lowers the shoulder, not afraid of contact, runs directly through it. The contact balance is very impressive. You see the speed. And because he's a former wideout, you have a nice receiver here.
Yeah.
You know, he has some good receiving ability. And you see it. Like this guy runs routes really well. One of the most unique players I've ever seen at the running back position.
Interesting.
Because he's 6'3" and also a really nice route runner out of the backfield. That's an entirely new type of species of running back.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's going to do it for our running back rankings and our Ohio State discussion. Thank you guys for watching. And make sure to tune in for the draft coming up. We will be live streaming. Want to make sure you guys are there reacting with us. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next episode.